CODAFIL. CODAFIL is an acronym. It's the Council for the Development of French in Louisiana, and it's been around for 54 years now. It started in 1968, and it's a state agency. It's kind of hard to explain to people because there's not a lot of equivalents of it elsewhere. So it's like Louisiana just decided in the 60s, the late 60s, that they would develop a state office specifically for the French language. So it's an office that handles the language itself and the population that speaks it, or the populations that speak it. So CODAFIL is really known for lots of educational projects and programs. There's a lot of French in schools kind of programs, starting immersion programs in new parishes. These are public school programs where you're a normal public school student, but your parents can sign you up for French immersion when you're 5 years old, and you just go into the classroom and the teacher speaks nothing but French to you, and you learn French as you are learning math and science and how to tie your shoes and all the things you learn in school. So there's lots of programs like that. There's also programs for scholarships for Louisianians who want to go perfect their French by studying abroad one summer, say in Nova Scotia or in Quebec or in France or Belgium. So we don't finance the scholarships because we're a state agency, so we don't have the funding to do that, but we sort of centralize it all in one spot so that private organizations that want to fund a scholarship, they can all work with us and we'll all be in one spot for all the people who want to apply for a scholarship. I work in the community development aspect of CODAFIL, and that means working with lots of grassroots groups, big ones being French tables. They're kind of the boots on the ground. They're not CODAFIL products at all, in the sense that it is entirely dependent on the people who meet every Wednesday at this one restaurant, or once a month on Saturday mornings at this one community center, or every other Sunday at this library. It's them who are doing the work. It's them that are meeting. We're not organizing them in that way, but I think that it's an amazing job that they're doing, and it's amazing work, and so I want them to be in contact with CODAFIL, that they know that they can reach out to us. So I get the really fun job of going around and visiting as much as I can, but it's hard because a lot of these groups are older people. So they're a population that's particularly at risk for COVID and things like that. So I can certainly understand why they would stop meeting in person. One fun thing, though, is that from the pandemic, these new Zoom ones have sprouted up. And there's some that are really fun. There's some that have just decided to keep the Zoom and meet in person. So the Bayou Teche Virtual Table is the name for this group based out of New Iberia. And they used to meet pre-pandemic, they used to meet at this little restaurant called Victor's Cafeteria on Thursday mornings, bright and early, like 7:30 or something. And then the pandemic happened and they started meeting on Zoom, but then now they meet in person again on a different day. They meet in person on Thursdays, but they meet in Zoom on Monday mornings. And it's fun. One thing that people seem to have liked about the Zoom is that you can reach an even broader audience of French speakers. So there's some Louisianians at heart, you might call them, or whatever. Maybe it's just a person who lives in Chicago and comes down for festivals a lot and loves, maybe comes down for Balfour Week or Black Pot or something like that, and decides, they really have a special spot in their heart for Louisiana. But you have people like that who tune in for the Zoom and can still kind of touch base with Louisianians and Louisiana French and stuff like that. So it's really fun. And I mean, the more the merrier. If we can just hold on to, now they're meeting at McDonald's. They're at totally different places. Totally different places, the French tables. You can have them at libraries, you can have them at little coffee shops, you can have them at the McDonald's on this particular highway in New Iberia or whatever. It's like, okay, sure, that's where we're meeting now. But they're mostly in public places, because it's an open to the public thing. It's not like a class where you have to pay. Some of them are structured like a class. There are some that are structured like a class. There are some that are totally open. It's just like you talk. Like the one that I generally run, I mean, you make a Facebook event and you show up and make sure that someone's there to speak French with people. But the one that I run is a happy hour. So it's literally, there's no structure to it. You just show up, you have a beer, you speak French, you mill about, or you sit down at a table, speak French, and drink another beer. There's no structure, but there's some that are structured kind of like a little free mini class. There are some that are maybe partially just open conversation, but then they go, okay, everybody, what's our list of words or phrases for the week? And they go through it, and everyone kind of takes a turn going through, like, oh yeah, je connais cette phrase là, or whatever, on disait, on, you know, whatever that they used to say or whatever. In different parishes, people have different ways of speaking and stuff. So, yeah, there's kind of whatever format you decide, because it's the individual group that decides what they want to do. As long as it's open to people and you're speaking French and you're doing it in some sort of regular basis, could be once a week, could be twice a month, could be once a month, it's a French table. You can even have little pop-up French tables, you know. Sometimes we do that at events. We'll just have we put a little sign on a table, make sure there's 2 people sitting there at least, so they have someone to talk to, and they do it in French, and people's ears perk up, and then maybe they all drift towards there. So, yeah. French tables, we love them.
Mon ami veut se marier, mon épouse mariée, ça m'a dit, je suis content pour toi. Elle dit, tu t'as trouvé la compagnie de ton âge. Et la fille, ça m'a pleuré.
C'est une grande chose. Qui va être le 4e?
On voulait faire un facelift.
Alors, après, toujours, mais à peu près 22 années passées, j'ai visité la ville de Houston, en Texas, avec ma femme.
Si j'avais les souliers que ma mamie m'a donnés, si j'avais les souliers que ma mamie m'a donnés, les souliers seront
Sur 2 bords du chemin, les portes étaient ouvertes et puis des hommes avec des fusils. Ça fait à peu près 1000 après ça.
La table française, c'est normalement là, mais demain, à cause de la quantité du monde, ça va être dans le centre du communauté.
Et comment tu t'appelles?
En français, c'est Roger Romero.
Ok.
En anglais, c'est Rogers Romero.
Je m'appelle Clyde Bourvin.
Borvo?
Bourvin.
Et tu aimes les tables françaises?
Oh oui, oui.
Tu viens tous les vendredis?
Peut-être, yeah, oui, oui.
How long have you been coming here? Same question.
Since I retired. I retired July 1st, and I started coming to the tables.
Have you kind of always wanted to learn French? Or?
Right, yes.
Okay.
So, I grew up hearing it, parents, grandparents, but they never spoke to the kids, and now they're all going, and I miss hearing it, so I've met a lot of nice people.
Combien de bandes tu joues avec 3 bandes?
4.
Tu joues ce soir?
Dimanche.
Dimanche?
Ce soir, avec Timon. Et Bobby, peux-tu dire juste un petit peu en anglais
For the French table? Yeah, it's a nice kind of social gathering. You know, you talk different. You got a mix of people that grew up speaking French, some that heard it, like Clyde, and some like me that started off just learned it as we were growing up, you know. Different people just because we wanted to learn. Yeah, you hear different vocabulary. You hear people from different parts of South Louisiana and from Canada, from France. They'll come here, and so you get a mixture of vocabulary. I didn't want to tell you, I really come here to hit up on women.
Here we are at McDonald's in New Iberia, here for a French table. It's very early.
Ici à McDo.
Ici à McDo. 7h du matin. OK.
J'ai entendu quoi le monde disait. Prenez Freetown pour avoir les bons temps. Les belles
C'est bon, c'est tout. Fred Romero, ici, tout le temps ici.
Ok, on va commencer avec numéro 1, avec Fred.
Paul Fred.
Fred Romero.
Orijo. Comment tu dis ça? Orijo?
Orion.
Oriol?
Orion.
Orion. The double L
Orier,
like
we
a
call it
Y.
Orier.
Orier. I know Orier. Yeah,
Orier.
I forgot.
Marie Nicole.
Original, original sin. Like
I'm just noticing that the word for thread is spelled the same way that I see the word sun.
Numéro 29, oui, c'est pour le ton. C'est pour le jeune homme ici.
Tu vois la musique, ça est-ce que tu apprends
c'est comme le café.
On parlait pendant des jours.